Hello and welcome to Food for Thought. I am Ramona Singh and thank you for joining us every Sunday at 10 a.m., 4 p.m. and 10 p.m. only on Channel Y. Joining me today is Y Media's group editor, Yudhvir Jaswal. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Ramona ji, and I hope all our viewers also doing great.
Yes, and you know, for a few weeks now, we've been talking about this topic as the life book, right? These 12 categories that was created by John and Missy Butcher. You can get access to the life book on Mindvalley. It's a course I did last week. It's a 6-week course. And so far in our previous episodes, we've talked about your health, spirituality, your intellectual life, your emotional life, love relationships. And today we'll be talking about parenting and your social life and your career.
Wow, all these topics seem to be very interesting. Parenting, social life, and your careers. I think very interesting topics for the day.
Yes, and so the approach for the life book, it's about finding out what your premise is, which is what are your foundational beliefs in this category, and then identifying what is the goal that you want to achieve, and then the purpose behind the goal, which is like the reason why it's driving you to achieve that, and then of course strategy. So what are your fundamental beliefs on parenting?
Okay, parenting, first things first, fundamental belief, as you asked. I think we, as I discussed earlier as well, we just live lives, as a tick box. That okay, you're born, you go to school, you go to college, and then oh, you have to get married. Again, a tick box. After marriage, okay, you have to have kids. Again, a tick box. My fundamental belief is first things first. Think before you really want to have kids. Do you really want to have kids? This is first thing you must ask, because that's a lot of commitment. Then how many kids do you want to have? 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 6. Like, I have 8 kids.
You have 8 kids?
Yeah, I do.
Wow, how many girls, how many boys?
Okay, 5 girls.
Okay.
And 3 boys.
Wow, and what are the ages?
They all range from anywhere between 18 to 30.
Wow, so you started young.
Yes, I did. actually, in the last 8 or 10 years, these are my 8 kids, and I think everyone knows them very well. I'll start with the youngest one. How about that?
Okay, tell me about the youngest one.
Okay, the younger one, her name is Ramisha.
Yeah.
Then I have Maheen, then I have Mansimran, then I have Baniji, then I have Simranji, and these are the 5 girls. Then I have 3 boys, Shubhi, Angad, and the eldest one is Gurpreet.
So those names sound familiar. They sound like people who work at Y Media Group.
Yeah, this is my family. This is my family. Yeah. You're right, Ramona ji. They all work at Y Media Group. Yeah. And this is my premise. You were asking about the premise. As much as our biological kids are our own kids, but I think we all ask ourselves, we all want this world to be a better place. So 2 things on that one. First of all, who is going to make this world a better place? We are going to make this world a better place, and our coming generations are going to make this world a better place. So I think it all starts with better parenting, and better parenting doesn't necessarily mean our biological kids, but anybody who's around us. Would you agree?
Absolutely, you're right. It doesn't have to be your biological child to have the love and admiration for, other people and wanting to make sure that they live a great life and how you could support them in every way possible. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
And what's your thought on parenting?
Yeah, so my thought is that when you bring children to this world, they don't ask to be born, so they are your responsibility, right? And then also understanding about, so I believe in reincarnation. Okay. So understanding and taking that into consideration, then I realize that this is a soul that's coming back to earth to live out, their purpose and the things that they need to accomplish. So therefore, I do not own this human being that I'm going to give birth to, right? They're not mine to do what I want them to do and to live the life I want them to live or me live through them. And it's about me, supporting them through their life's journey about why they're actually here. It's actually an interesting point because when I was, so I went to university. I went away for college to Ottawa, and my family lived in Toronto. And I remember as soon as I moved away, I missed my family so much, and I remembered my mother said that, these are the best years of your life. Like when we were young and I was playing with my siblings and there's 4 of us and it was always such a busy house, she said, these are the best years of your life. And I realized when I had moved away and I was living on my own and in some other city that I'm like, and I started crying saying, those were the best years of my life, right? And you don't realize until you separate from your family to a degree. And then when I lived in London, England, and in London, England, the roads are opposite here, like in terms of where the traffic's coming from. So I was always very mindful because I was there living, away from my family again, and I thought, if I accidentally step on the road, because there's a statistic of like people getting hit by not looking in the right direction, right? And so I said, how would they know something happened to me? So it was all those moments that I realized that the best things my parents did for me was teach me about life. So I'm self-sufficient. If they're not around me, that I could manage to just get by and understand like what my values are, what my competencies are. Of course, have a level of education to be able to have comprehension. And so I realized, wow, that's really a parent's job, to raise you and keep you ready for life, that one day when they're not there, that you could continue.
Amazing. I think this is exactly my thought process too, and taking things further. You just mentioned preparing you for challenges ahead in life, and you talked about values. I think as much emphasis we put on identity issues. Identity, with that I mean, okay, this is our caste, this is our language, this is our religion, this is where we belong, this is our country of origin, which is great, But telling that you belong to this religion, but what is the essence of that religion? Are we really, really passing on those values of the religion to our next generation? That is the key. And I think most of the immigrants that are moving to these countries, whether we move to US, Britain or Canada, one of the primary reasons is that we find these countries, they have certain set of values. What are Canadian values? Are we passing on those Canadian values or these Western values which we really want to live? So are we passing on to our next generation? That is the key. I think as much as we pass on the identity values, the values that you were mentioning, I think those are more important. Plus, I think connecting them today with science, as much as we're connecting them with religion, which is very important. I totally agree. Connecting them with culture is very important. And I think in any place, if you have parents and grandparents both, you will see a very different effect on the kids. I've been, brought up with, as a kid, with both parents, and my grandparents were also at home. So whether from the maternal side or from the father side, but grandparents have a huge impact on your upbringing. But similarly, I would also want the parenting to involve what is innovation, what is science. How many people from our community are we connected to science, innovation, creativity, original thought process, not copy and paste. So I think these are the things that parents need to get involved.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we'd love to hear your point of view on this. Join us on the conversation. Give us a call. Let us know what you think about parenting and what your goals and values are around it, and what are some of the things that you do to reach those goals. And what's been in the headlines, and I want to get your opinion on this, is that Kim Kardashian, very famous person who also married another very famous person, Kanye West. They had 4 children. And as now they're separated, their eldest child, North, is about 8 years old, and she just recently on social media, on TikTok, and she's on there with her mom. And Kanye West has said, he does not want his child on social media. She's way too young. So now this has been an issue that's been, brought up in the media, and you have, people in Hollywood on either side having their opinion. What are your opinions on, a child of 8 years old being on social media, and also that, and then of course the parent also being there on social media with them, and now they have like millions of followers. I think something like 7 or 8 million followers.
Yeah, I think again it's a personal choice, but if you would ask me, I'll talk in general terms. I think I'll tell you a story of one of my friends. He has 2 daughters, and I've known this guy since childhood. Would you believe that both the girls, they just had cell phones when I think they entered grade 11 or 12? Wow. And one of the girls, the elder one, she got a cell phone when she entered to university, and they would really use that cell phone. I'm not talking about social media. And I have many people around me who were never there on social media. There are others who are disconnecting themselves from social media. So bringing a 5-year-old, 7-year-old, or a 10-year-old, or a 12-year-old on social media today, I doubt there is any need. As much as you can get them connected to technology, but there are so many other ways, because social media, you are exposing your kids to so many other things as well.
Yeah, and there's also, there's the addiction factor of how many people are watching you. Do you have enough likes? What is the response you're getting? If there's any negative comments, that affects your self-esteem, which I can't imagine at such a young age without you obviously having your personality formed and your self-worth and values and identity to, get, any sort of negative feedback on social media is very difficult, I would say, definitely. But, just recently, it was in the news that there was a mother who made a deal with her son that if he stays off social media from a very young age, if he stays off until 16 years old, he's going to make $1,600. If he stays off social media until 18 years of age, he is going to make $1,800. And he actually followed through from the time when he made the pact with his mother at the age of 13 or 14. He stayed off completely on social media. He got $1,800. He felt pretty proud of it, but that was recently talked about in the media a lot about, what does that mean? And is that enough money?
Yeah, I think we're creating a whole new generation, who are social media addicts, for lack of a better word, if I may say that. And you switch off the internet at home, and suddenly you realize that these kids, how desperately they want to stay connected with internet all the time. Of course, we, as I mentioned earlier, for academic reasons or for technology reasons or for other getting ourselves connected with science or even for entertainment purpose, yes, internet is fine. But through being on social media all the time, counting the number of likes, how many impressions you've got on Instagram, how many likes or how many views you've got on TikTok, I think we're not leading our generation in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely. And now moving on to social life. What are your thoughts about that? That is a big factor, I think, in our life, right? Like to have a social life. I think our life revolves around our social life when we're younger, as teenagers and as young adults, and it's such a big factor in making sure that we still have one as we get busy with work and as life takes on. And so what are some of your thoughts and your fundamental belief about, having a social life?
I think there have been many studies on this one. And as far as I can recall, the two top factors for good quality of life, they are related directly to the social life. And when I'm talking about social life, it doesn't necessarily mean, social media. I don't even consider social media as a part of the social life. No, not at all. Social life means, how well you meet other people, you go out, and the face-to-face connection. That brings in so many different chemicals which are so good for your body, and science has clearly proven that. Your cholesterol numbers, your heart rate, your blood pressure, so many other indicators are important. Your intellect is important, but right at the top of quality of life is your, how well you are connected socially. It has always been proven in the science. Second point for me is that yes, I think it gives you so much solace, you're so much relaxed, you're so much calm when you know your social life is great. That helps you mentally, that helps you physically, that helps you in your career. So I'm a very strong believer of having a great social life.
Yes, and on our first episode, we talked about Harvard's longest study. It's over 80 years of them tracking, boys from a very young age, from the age of like 14 and 16 throughout school. And what they found was that it's not about money or success or power that makes you happy in life. It's about your social connections in life and your relationships. And if you lose some friends, make new friends. And the study found that you'll have better memory, you'll have less pain as an adult, and you're much happier as a result of having those, social interactions and close bonding social relationships.
Yes, because that releases a lot of pressure, and I think when I talk about social life, I'll also mention another very important point which I learned from a Pakistani guy whom I really like his articles, and he mentioned it very accurately. I've been already doing that, but now after reading that article, I do it more often. What is leisure time? Leisure time, as much as vacations are very important, as much as okay, I'm just sitting, that is leisure time. But what the doctor said it very well, the Pakistani author, he said it very well, and I have been doing that. Layer time means when I go, I suddenly pick up a phone. This used to happen more in India and Pakistan. Here it's not that often, but I've kept that with my friends. I pick up a phone while going back and I'll call my friend, hey, what are you doing this evening? He says, nothing. Okay, we go there. It was totally unplanned thing. We didn't plan anything. We go there, we sit for 1-2 hours, and there is no account for any time. And we're talking, it was not planned. That is what, maybe one friend, two friends, five friends, maybe for half an hour, 1 hour, or 5 hours. Or maybe for the whole day, I mean, sit an entire evening. So that is what I call layer time. And in social life, layer time is very important, which is unplanned, and it just happens. That's very important.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And another thing is that you also want to know what your values are and what kind of friends you have, right? And so just not any social life, right? The right social life is also important. Like, what do you want to achieve? Like, do you have friends that you have, health and fitness goals with? Do you have ones that are from your childhood and you still are able to, raise your families together? And so, yeah, I think as we go through phases in life and we evolve and mature, I think our ideas about what is a social life and who should be part of that life is also very important.
Yeah, why I didn't mention that, because for me, when friends means friends for life. Acquaintances don't count in my friend, my business relationships do not count in my friends. So for me, friend means friends for life. So you're right. And you have to be very mindful. Of course, I don't want to say anything that stay away from or anything like this, but yeah, if you find someone toxic or anything like that, you got to minimize that. I won't say cut off, but minimize your time spent with them. And when I say socialize with your friends, then that means friends who are always there with you, and you're always for them.
Absolutely.
That's what I mean.
Absolutely. And we're going to take a break. When we come back, we will talk about our career and our goals. And I think that's a big topic here. So we'll be right back. Hello and welcome back to Food for Thought. I'm Ramona Singh. Joining me is Jadoo Jaswal, the group editor of Y Media. And today we're talking about the life book, and we're talking about the career, right? So career is a big factor in one's life. And, we're going through what is the premise, what is your fundamental belief, what are your goals for your career, what's the purpose behind it, as well as, what is the strategy to get there?
Yeah, I think we've been talking about this quite often, and in almost all my radio shows or TV shows I've mentioned this, and I think we've mentioned this here as well. 90% of your time you're going to spend with your life partner and your career. So picking life partner, that's a tricky one, and we'll leave it for some other day. but I think career is very important, and that's tricky one too. Yeah. It's not very easy. So I think it's very important that we pick the right career so that we're not burdened by our work. You'll enjoy your work. Like from the last 21 years, I would say every Sunday evening I'm excited. Every Sunday evening I'm excited, oh, tomorrow it's Monday and I'm going to go back to work. There has never been a single Sunday evening, never in the last 21 years, a single Sunday evening where I'm not excited going back to work.
Were you that excited going to school on a Monday?
Not at all. No,
Yeah.
I was never that excited going to school on a Monday. Never that excited even in my college time, because I didn't really want to do engineering, but I had to do it. I did it in those 4 years. And as a matter of fact, I worked as an engineer for good 8 years, 5 years in India, almost 3 years here in Canada. So I've been working in my field for good 8 years. I'm still a member of engineers associations here, but I never enjoyed. And let me be very honest, I never enjoyed going to work as much as it was 7 to 3 when I was here. And in India, it was 8 to 4, and off you go after your work. And here I am working maybe 12 hours, sometimes even 15, 16 hours. I work on Saturdays as well. Earlier I worked sometimes on Sundays as well. But no, yeah.
So what got you to be an engineer if it's something that you realized you didn't enjoy?
Yeah, great point. Actually, in India, that's one of the issues. Parents say, okay, become a doctor, engineer, or maybe these two. I wish I had known mass communication. Today you ask youngsters, many of them say we're doing mass comm. Okay, mass comm, great. I mean, back in the day, parents would push, become a doctor or engineer. Like, I wasn't good at biology, so I said, okay, I'll become an engineer. So it wasn't my choice. What is career counseling in India? What is career counseling in India? If parents think this is a good career, that's career counseling. End of the story. And how did it happen for you? I want to ask you.
So what happened, well, my parents were a lot nicer in terms of allowing me to choose my career. And, stats show that now in one's lifetime, you can have 3 different careers.
Right.
So I would say by now I have had 3 different careers, and I'm still, I think, fairly young, so let's see what happens. But yeah, they kept asking from a very young age, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Right.
And at first I said teacher, then I said police officer. And so I followed through and I went to college for police foundations, and I realized I love law, I just don't want to, enforce it via being a police officer. And then I, carried on to university and whatnot, and studied criminology, worked at Correctional Service of Canada. So my path was, it was diverse, and then I got into business and in telecoms. And telecoms was something I never studied, and I've been in it for the longest amount of time. And then afterwards got into a bit of politics and some media, and then I realized I like them both. And so yeah, so it's been great to be able to do that, so I guess the lesson here is that you don't need to necessarily always have a degree for what you're studying, because you don't have one, and you have a 2-decade successful career in media.
Yes.
Right? So it's really the hands-on skills that you get. But I think when I was thinking about today's topic, and I thought, what is one best thing I could say about when it comes to your career? Just one thing you could pick up as a human being to get your career to be in a better place is learn to read. Just reading. That's it. Like, if you're going to ever invest time in anything, it's just read, because with reading, you understand so many things. You also get to figure out what you don't know. And has anybody ever said somebody who's well-read is not smart? It just makes you smarter. It helps you learn things. It opens up your mind. And it gets you to even be better at the career that you choose. So even if you're unhappy with what you're doing, read. I know there's a lot of videos, right? There's a lot of videos on like how to do certain things and how to learn certain trades, but you don't want to be, stuck with somebody making a video for you. If you learn to read, then you can, the world is your oyster. And that's like the biggest advice I would give to anybody. Learn to read and spend time reading.
Oh, I couldn't agree more on this particular point when you mentioned learn to read, So when we say he's a well-read person, or she's a well-read person, that clearly means that person is really smart, and not only in your career. I think in almost every aspect of your life, every aspect, whether it's relationship, career, health, every aspect of your life, reading is going to help you. And you're right, if I had to give one advice to any youngster who's watching this program, or anybody for that matter, even if you're 60s, 70s, 80s, read. Second point, as much as degree, like my engineering degree, if I had to do it all over again, would I still go ahead for an engineering degree or for a mass comm degree? The answer would be yes. Even an engineering degree, which I still believe. I'll tell you why. Because when you read or when you go to a college, there's so many qualities that you bring in your personality. Like when we were in a hostel, as you earlier mentioned, in our hostel, we learned so many things to do on our own, which I wouldn't have otherwise. Manage my financials on my own, manage my food on my own. I lived for 4 years on my own, and that, we're talking 92 to 96. We didn't have these cell phones or anything. So you're on your own. You can't call your parents, nothing. You are literally on your own. Yeah. So managing yourself for good 4 years, every single thing, 24/7. So I think that you become mentally strong and you know how to manage your affairs. So I would have done it all over again. And when you read, it triggers so many different parts of your brain, and I think that helps you in decision making. So I think education is very important. I listen sometimes, they say, oh, this guy, he's a billionaire today and he left college in the first year. Yes, but when I read his story, even despite leaving the college, this guy was still hanging around with college graduates, and that's precisely the reason from where he got this knowledge from. So if you're planning a career in sports, if you're planning a career in arts, you're planning a career being a musician, actor, whatever, please have a degree handy. Whether it's a law degree, whether it's a law graduate, anything. I think you must have, education is very, very important. Secondly, when it comes to career, I think again I'll offer a YJ litmus test over here, and this is how I applied that to myself. What career you should pick? Here are a few factors when you're picking a career, which I applied very early on. Okay, one thing which you really love. Okay, as a kid I really loved cricket. So should I have picked cricket as my career? The first box was ticked. One thing which you really enjoy doing. I enjoy playing cricket. Okay. Second question, are you going to stick with this for the rest of your life? The second box was ticked. Yes, I would love playing cricket for the rest of my life. But third, very important question, are you going to be the best in this one? The best, something really exceptional. Oh, then I asked myself, the best means I should be at the top 11 players in the Indian national cricket team. So there I had a bit of a doubt. One of my very close friends, he said, no, I don't have any doubt. Did he make it to the national team? No, of course he made it to a very good level, at the state level player. He got a very good job in Indian Navy as well. But this was third box which was not ticked. That maybe I love this thing, I'm going to live with this for the rest of my life. The fourth question is, am I really exceptional in this career, right? So this box, and as a cricketer, I wasn't sure. Then there is fourth, another very important point. Okay, you love this thing, fine, great. And the second thing is you say, yes, I'm going to live with this career for the rest of my life, which is great. Second box is ticked. Third, I'm very exceptional in this, right? But there's another fourth point also. How much is the demand of this thing? Is there a demand of this career as well? Are you going to do well when it comes to the financial terms, or a demand as a business, or as a career, as a job? So if all these four boxes are ticked, then this is the career for you.
That's very good advice. And what I could say is that my ability to change between careers didn't happen where one day I wake up, I'm like, okay, I'm doing this now, and I leave that aside. No, what you do is, as their desire to do something where there's passion and you're pursuing it, you almost have to, you have your job, your career that, you get a good income and it helps you finance your life and, have a degree of self-confidence, because your career, there's a self-confidence that comes with it too, right? If you're good at something, your self-esteem is much better, the ability to learn and apply yourself and challenge yourself. So what I had to do was, I would have my career, and the career that I was interested in, or as my ideas were changing and I wanted to pursue other things, I would do it on the side, and most of the time for free, right? So because I was learning something. So what I was taking is, creating it like a hobby, where it's a passion of love that you're doing, and you put your time into it until you become good enough, and through obviously immersing yourself by doing it, as well as learning and reading and understanding what this career is, what is the industry, what are the trends, where is it going, what is your niche, what is your specialty that matches this specific work that you want to do, and how can you lean into it more. And so there was many times where I had multiple jobs, because one I got paid, the other one I was doing because I love to do and I was learning how to do it, and that's how I was able to transition between all those different things. So yeah, I was busy, but at least you get a result at the end of it.
Yeah. Few other things, as you were mentioning, just taking your point further, and this is what I've applied in my life too, and this is my suggestion to all the viewers who are watching, especially all the youngsters who are planning to build any career. If you really want to make it big, you should know who are the persons who've really made it big. Mm-hmm. I'll give you an example. One of the girls, I think this is around 14 or 15 years ago, a girl came to me and she just finished her journalism course and she said, okay, I want to work for Y Media and why don't you assign me to Afghanistan? I said, Afghanistan? What are you going to do in Afghanistan? She says, oh, I want to study what's happening in Afghanistan, Russia, US invasion and all these things. I said, okay, fine, great. I said, how many journalists have been there from Canada? Oh, I'm not sure. I said, even before you take a plunge going into Afghanistan, at least read their stories. So know those who have made big in the careers that you're aspiring to become. If I want to become a cricket player, I will read the life stories of 10 major cricket players, how they made it so big. If I'm in media, I should know what Comcast did. I should know what Dish did. I should know how Roger Ailes created Fox. At one time, NBC or CNN were big. So this guy, in a span of just 4 years, they launched in 1996, and in a span of 4 to 8 years, Fox became the #1 rated channel. How did he do it? As much as I may or may not like Fox, that's a different thing, but there are hundreds of things I can learn. How Rupert Murdoch, starting from Australia, how did he venture into Britain, and then how did he go to States? How did he build all this empire? National Post, how Conrad Black built all this empire, Post Media Group. So I should know all these stories. So read at least a minimum of 10 stories of the guys who really made it big, draw inspiration from them, note down the points, and then see where do you fit in all this, and then maybe you'll make it big.
Absolutely, and you're right, because we could have dreams of things that we want, but maybe not realize the amount of sacrifices that come with achieving that, what we're willing to forego. And it's great because there's Mark Manson, he's an author, and he wrote this great article about what are you willing to suffer to achieve your goals. He said when he was younger, he wanted to be a rock star. He's like, I would, watch the famous rock stars and I wanted to be one. He's like, but then the reality kicked in. I said, am I willing to, carry my guitar and go to places and play for 10 people and, sometimes maybe not even have an audience and be broke and dedicate my entire time to my craft or not? He goes, when I realized that I don't want to do those things, I realized that was just a dream. It was nice to hope for, but I didn't actually want to do anything about it to get there. So it's also very important to know the difference. And I think that happens when you do read about people who have made it and what it takes to even get there.
Yeah, and whatever I've been sharing, it's all comes from my personal experience. Another thing I could share, as you were mentioning just now, you're mentioning about the pain. How do you run a business? The more you're able to suffer the pain, or the more stronger you are, I think that's all how good a businessman you are. So because you have so many challenges while you're running a business. And another part that I'll tell you, when you start a business, you get sucked up into that system, and it's not a switch, turn on, turn off. Imagine you've opened a restaurant and you've invested $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, and the running now include the running cost. So you've already almost invested, I'm just giving an example, 4 to 5 million. So now do you suddenly shut that down, or you have to work long hours? This happened with me as well. Okay, I launched a newspaper, invested a certain amount of money. Now the only choice was, we're still losing money after 2 years, 3 years. There are only two choices, whether I could leave all that money and walk away and go back to my engineering job, or I've been working so hard and I had no choice. Keep on working. You're on that roller coaster, and this roller coaster won't end after a few minutes. It's for years. And there are only two choices. You can get off the roller coaster, right? And all that money goes down the drain. All those years, 2, 3 years that I spent building this Midweek Newspaper, that could have gone down the drain. And another part is, yes, as much as you can read, believe, focus, work hard, but then you never know where is light at the end of the tunnel. But I kept on building newspaper. Okay, newspaper is fine, but here we realized the print might die, and then, okay, we should start another venture. And we launched a radio program. 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, we're still putting in a lot of money. Oh, should we now shut down the radio operations? We're not making any money. The print is doing fine, or we still carry on the radio operations. We will make money, but when, we don't know. And nobody in the world can guarantee you that you will make money after 2 months or maybe 20 years. Nobody can tell you that. And that part of your life, you're just sucked in, and you just need to keep on moving on that roller coaster. But yes, if you have, that's why they say, believe in yourself, keep moving, and that's what you do. But be very mindful of that yes, it will take some time.
Yeah, to your point, you were saying about all this money that you put into the newspaper and not knowing where the industry's going, and people are saying it's a dying industry, and you're like, when is this going to be profitable? Right. I think there's that pain, and then you're thinking, okay, do I cut the bleeding, which is some school of thought of like, where do you cut the bleeding to be able to survive? But then what was the alternative? Go to a job, a career as an engineer that you don't enjoy. So I think it was like, okay, I don't know how this is working out. This is a very painful and challenging process, but I'm enjoying this more than going back to something that I don't enjoy, right?
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think you're right. If I had to do it all over again, would I do it? The answer is absolutely yes. Despite all the challenges, despite all the sacrifices, that's the right word, all the sacrifices that you make, but at the end of the day, you're still enjoying it. And as much as the challenge is to run the day-to-day operations, the challenge is to, because 2 out of the 3 businesses die because of one single reason, cash flow. Mm-hmm. Because you're not able to generate that sort of cash flow. So that's why 2 out of the 3 businesses, they just die down in first year, second year, third year. So you're good at something, whether you're a good lawyer, whether you're a good engineer, whether you're a good media person, or you're good in real estate, whatever business you aspire to do. So running the day-to-day business operations is very important, but maintaining the cash flow is important. Then you have the accounting, then you have the legal, then you have the human resource thing. So all these challenges you have to meet by yourself. If you're ready for that, yes, you can have a successful career in this thing. And then there's another aspect to it, that yes, if you really go past this roller coaster ride, and this has been my mantra as well, if you come out alive, you'll be stronger.
That's so true. That's so true. And you know what this reminds me? You were saying that, like right now on your radio shows, it's from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And you get, what, like 100 calls an hour, maybe 150 calls an hour. And I recall you saying that there was a time where you didn't even know someone was listening, right? And that went on for how long? And what gave you the drive to continue not knowing, is anybody listening to me? Does what I say matter? Or am I just having a really good time and I'm going to keep doing this until we see what happens?
Yeah, thank you for raising that point, because I like to connect this point to another very important thing. It should be your drive. It should be your passion. When you say I'm very passionate and you suddenly go, like in my case, I volunteered for a radio show for good 3 years. As much as this was my main business, my main career at that time, media was my business, it was my full-time thing. But here I am, volunteering 3 years on a radio station without charging a single penny. And I'm very thankful and grateful to those guys, because they really told me this is your another talent. You're not just a print guy, you could do radio. Then I almost volunteered for 7 years in the TV industry. And I'm really grateful and thankful to those who taught me this TV industry. So the point being that today we go, I'm very passionate, I'm very dedicated, I want this career. And here you are, okay, how much am I getting for this one? This guy is a real estate guru. You want the real estate guru to teach you and then pay you. The real estate guru will ask you if you go to university and you're paying some money, and then they will teach you. No, I'm very passionate about it. No, you're not passionate about real estate. You just see others making money. That's why you're in that business. So first of all, if you're passionate, follow the excellence, success will follow. Just follow the excellence. That is the key.
Yeah, and I think one thing you and I both have in common is that we both did all that volunteering work to be able to learn something that you're passionate about, or you realize, oh, I'm enjoying this, and still dedicate to make sure it transitions into a fully fledged career. It actually reminds me of a conversation I once had with Michael Tobolo, MPP Tobolo, and he is an attorney by profession, and he said, and I don't know how this conversation came up, but he's like, do you think somebody who just graduated law school and passed the bar is an attorney? He's like, no, they're just a graduate of law degree. Yeah. He's like, it takes decades to learn how to, implement the law and, go through all of that experience. So it was interesting how he defined it, saying just because you graduate doesn't make you an attorney, right? You just passed the bar. You got to go through the process. So you're right, absolutely. Like with time and exposure is when you figure out your craft and become really good at it and are able to contribute.
Yeah, that's because of another very important aspect. The academia is different. industry work is totally different.
Yeah.
When you finish, like when I finished my engineering and I went on the floor as an engineer, I have no hesitation in admitting that the foreman or even the floor worker, they knew as much as I was their boss. But when I'm going on the floor, the foreman, because I was 22 and this guy has been working on floor for 30 years. And then I had a quality inspector who had been working for 15 years. The workers on the floor, they've been working for 5, 10, 15 years. And as a 22-year-old, okay, I have the degree, I'm the boss. But if I go on the floor and they say, sir, this is an Excel. And okay, I was looking at machines, Excel, what's this going on? I had no idea. So I had to learn all the tricks of the trade from my foreman, from the floor workers, from our quality inspectors. So the industry is, there is a total, not a total disconnect, but there's a vast disconnect between what we are taught in the academia, in the colleges, universities, and what actually the industry standards demand. Fresh graduates in any profession, they need to remember this, they need to learn a lot, as you just mentioned. But I want, Armonaji, I've seen you're very passionate about learning. And this is one good thing that I've seen in you. And I want you to explain a little bit more. You do not connect rewards with your work. You're also, I see you following excellence. How would you do that?
Yeah, I mean, I think for one, I need to feed my mind.
Okay.
So it gets hungry. Just like my stomach gets hungry for food,
okay,
my mind gets hungry. If I'm not feeding it some new concepts and theories and thought processes, or I will start feeling the level of agitation or consistent boredom. And watching a movie will not fix it. A fantastic social life will not fix it. So I'm aware of myself, right? So I know that just like if I don't exercise, my muscles get sore and there's tension and I need to stretch. Same thing goes with the mind. And so I feed it, and I feed it fairly regularly and diverse, right? Like there's things that I'm not interested in, so I'm absolutely not well read, and I could, like sports. I have no contribution in sports because I don't know anything about it. I don't watch it. I don't read it. I have no level of understanding. But other things that I know that is interesting to me, then I dive deep, and I would say that that's what's helped me transition in different things in life, figure out skills that I didn't even know I had, because there's an interest, then you pursue that interest and you carry on. So I think you got to be a lifelong learner. I don't foresee, like, just because I finished school, it doesn't mean you don't learn. So going to conventions, watching, doing little courses, like how this entire show came about on this life book. It was a 6-week course where you're sitting there writing about, what are my values? What do I want to do in these categories of my life? And just becoming aware. But sometimes the course prompts you to do it, whereas you wouldn't do it on your own. So I understand it's something like, just like how you would get a personal trainer to get fit, to learn how to exercise and make it into a habit. Same thing goes with certain short courses or longer courses, or just picking up a book on your own and reading it. So I think it's important, and my world is richer as a result of it.
Wow. I couldn't agree more on this one. Just as physically, you need to keep working on the different muscles, whether they're your biceps, triceps, or any other muscles. So you used a very right word, that you get hungry. And that's right. Actually, that's your mind telling you. Yeah. Just as your muscles would tell you we're getting sore or we're getting stronger, very similarly, your mind tells you. And just day before yesterday, I'll even name the guy, his name is Tejinder, he called on my radio. He said, sir, where do you get this confidence from? I said, confidence is also a muscle, just like knowledge. Knowledge is a muscle. The more you nurture, the more knowledge you'll have. But nurture is with reading. You said that right, read. Very similarly, confidence, with your hard work, with your knowledge and everything, your confidence is like a muscle, it'll keep growing. But if you don't nurture it well, your confidence will shrink.
That's true. That's so true. That's so true. But I love these conversations we're having. We'd love to hear from you. Please call us whenever you have any ideas about any of these topics and future topics that we should be covering, and engage with us on social media. We're always happy to hear from you. And that is all the time we have today. Until next week, please tune in on Food for Thought. It is a new show on Channel Y. It airs a brand new show every day on Sundays at 10 a.m., then 4 p.m. and 10 p.m. And joining me is Yudhvir Jaswal, the group editor of Y Media. Thank you for today.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Umarji. Thank you.